Hello there, thanks for joining us on Infrastructure District. I am Tina OJIE. Water, they say, is life, and it's the fundamental human right of every citizen to have access to good and clean water. Treatment of public water supply is an essential service in both developed and developing countries. On the program today, we shall be accessing the FCT water treatment infrastructure, plus how the raw water from the Lower Osumu Dam, which is the main source of raw water for both industrial and domestic use in the Federal Capital Territory, is treated to meet global standard. You can follow us on all our social media handles now showing on your screen. As usual, firstly, let's take a look at some of the stories making news on infrastructure in Nigeria, Africa, and around the world this week. Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to establish infrastructure development firm. Wari Area Council working on modalities to tackle floods. In Ethiopia, Unease as Nile Dam water level rises. Details of these stories and more shortly. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is to establish an infrastructure development company. Its governor, Godwin Emefiele, disclosed in Abuja. Mr. Emefiele, who spoke during the online media briefing at the end of the 274th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee, MPC, said the company would leverage on local and international funds to rebuild critical infrastructure across the country. Emefiele said the federal government has already given approval for the establishment of the special purpose company, which will be fully focused on Nigeria and Nigerians alone. The company, he said, would be co-owned by the CBN, the African Finance Corporation, and the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. However, the management of the company will be exclusively run by the Independent Infrastructure Fund Manager. The fund manager would mobilize local and foreign capital to support the federal government in building the transport infrastructure required to move agriculture and other products to processors, raw materials to factories, and finished goods to markets. The CBN governor said about 15 trillion is projected over 5 years for the initial running of the company, adding that the MPC expressed satisfaction with the work on the updates and timelines for the establishment of the company. The committee noted that the CBN disbursed over 152.9 billion naira to the manufacturing sector to finance 61 manufacturing projects and another 93.6 billion to the healthcare sector, among many other sector-specific facilities. The federal government has so far released a total of 995.665 billion naira to finance capital projects in the 2020 budget. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has revealed. The minister also presented a check of 162.557 billion naira, being proceeds of the third sovereign SOCOC issued by the Debt Management Office for 44 roads projects across the country, to the Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola. According to Mrs. Zainab, the amount is strictly dedicated to the financing of road projects in the revised 2020 Appropriation Act. It also means that with the release of 162.557 billion naira to the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, the amount appropriated for road project financed by SOCOC in 2020 budget has been fully released. The minister noted that the federal government has been encouraged by the tremendous success recorded with regards to improvements in road infrastructure across the 6 geopolitical zones with the intervention of the special funding. The chairman of Wari Area Council, Mr. John Gabaya, has said the council is working out modalities to address flooding challenges in communities such as Biajin and Chikagbere in Kuba district of the council. Mr. Gabaya said this during the commissioning of the council's official residence and Tokolu Bridge in the council. He also said the council was working tirelessly to ensure roads within the council were in good condition. Mr. Gabaya further said while some engineers were working on some roads, it was important to call on residents to desist from dumping refuse in rivers and drainages. The managing director of Nigerian's leading engineering construction company, Julius Berger Nigerian PLC, Engineer Dr. Lars Richter, has confidently stated that the highly reliable company is working on a schedule meeting and exceeding planned construction milestone and will deliver the second Niger Bridge, Abuja-Kano Road and Lagos-Shagamu Expressway project as contracted. Richter, who said all requisite human and technical resources, even new technologies, have been mobilized to all sections of the project to ensure successful completion as scheduled, also emphasized that all the contracts for the three top priority projects of the federal government were duly awarded to Julius Berger following due process. Dr. Richter made the assertion at the National Assembly Abuja during a hearing by the House of Representatives Committee on Works investigating what the chairman of the committee, Honorable Abubakar Kabir Abubakar, described as the slow pace of work on the ongoing federal road projects. The chairman of the House Works Committee set the hearing rolling when he delivered the agenda of the hearing as an inquiry into what procurement process Julius Berger went through for the award of the contract for the project, the cost each of the projects were awarded for, and completion period at which the project were contracted to be delivered. Addis Ababa has refuted claims it has begun filling the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, JED, just days after talks with Sudan and Egypt failed to reach agreement on how to regulate the flow of the Nile waters from the reservoir. In a statement, Addis Ababa said the amount of water flowing downstream to Sudan and Egypt had predictably reduced after the dam structure was raised, absorbing more of the incoming water. The Ethiopian Water, Irrigation and Energy Minister, Dr. Seleshi Bakele, said his country had not blocked the flow of water as earlier claimed. Dr. Seleshi said the JED construction has reached level 560 meter compared to level 525 meter last year this time. Ethiopia's comment comes after Sudan on Wednesday claimed the volume of water reaching its territory had reduced and accused Addis Ababa of filling the dam without reaching an agreement. With this story, we have come to the end of the news. The program continues after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the news. If you're just joining us now, you're watching The Infrastructure, where we take a look at the state of major infrastructure in Nigeria and around the world. Nigeria is so rich in water resources that a lot of its 36 states are named after rivers. One would imagine that Nigeria has plenty of water to drink. A 2019 report by WHO, UNICEF, and JMP says that 75% of the Nigerian population have access to safely managed and basic service drinking water, while 48% of the population has access to basic drinking water sources. Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, a planned city with over 3 million people, has the Lower Usuma Dam as a primary source of water supply for both industrial and domestic use. The River Gurara in Niger State and the River Usuma is a primary source of water supply to the Usuma Dam. The question now is, how clean and safe is this water for consumption? The Federal Capital Territory Water Board is charged with the responsibility for providing safe, adequate, and affordable water supply services to the residents of the Federal Capital Territory. Right now, let's bring you a special feature on the FCT water.
Water, the most essential element for all forms of life, an indispensable commodity in the maintenance of life on earth. It is fundamental for life and health. It is the duty of every responsible government to provide good and clean water for its citizens. Poor access to safe water sources in both urban and rural areas have been the main cause for the prevalence of water diseases in Nigeria. provision of safe water to the people have been the common promise of politicians during political campaigns in Nigeria. The majority of the population in developing countries are not adequately supplied with potable water and are thereby compelled to use water from doubtful sources. The World Health Organization says that every year more than 3.4 million people die as a result of water-related disease, making it the leading cause of disease and death around the world. Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, has the Lower Usman Dam as its primary source of public drinking water. However, the rapid growth of the population in Abuja metropolis has created enormous challenges on the natural resources such as water supply. As the only source of public pipe-borne water in the Federal Capital Territory, the Lower Usman Dam Treatment Plant, commissioned in 1987 by the federal government of Nigeria to ensure potable water supply to the emerging new capital city. Usman Dam is located at Ushafa in Buhari along the Dutse-Buhari Road on the Kaduna Highway and 6 kilometers away from Buhari. The treatment and water supply was initially in Jabi Dam, which covered a small area like Life Camp and some areas like Gariki and other areas in Abuja. When the Federal Capital Territory was moved to Abuja from Lagos on February 3, 1976, there was an immediate plan to construct a water dam to serve the water need of the residents of the new area. The need to provide infrastructure, most importantly water, for these large population became a serious challenge for the FCT authority. Hence, the construction of the Usman Dam in 1982 and put into use in 1987 with one treatment plant of 5,000 cubic meters per hour.
This dam is called Lower Usman Dam. There is supposed to be an upper dam which we refer to like, for example, now Gurara. Lower Usman Dam is classified as a large dam. It has a capacity of 100 million cubic meter capacity, and it's made up of two systems of dam: the main dam which we are standing on and the saddle dam. The length of this dam is about 1.3 kilometers. The saddle dam is about 3.350 kilometers. Now this dam is constructed across River Usman, and River Usman is the main river that drains FCT. Now we are in one of the highest points in the FCT. So water from this dam goes by gravity to the treatment plant, which is downstream. And from the treatment plant is by gravity about 85% to the city. It is only from the water going to Buhari that we pump. Now what we do here is to harvest the rainwater from the catchment area. The catchment area of this place is about 35 kilometers square. So this water, as it is now, is covering about 8.5 kilometers square on the surface area. So we harvest the water, take it to the treatment plant, treat and make it potable for use according to WHO and Nigerian standard.
The Lower Usman Dam is managed by the Federal Capital Territory Water Board, who ensure that the raw water from the Lower Usman Dam is sufficient, clean and safe for the residents of Abuja through series of treatment processes. Mr. Ajala Abdulazeez, Plant Manager, Phases 1 and 2, takes us through these processes.
As a plant manager, I have the sole responsibility to ensure that the city of Abuja gets potable drinking water on a daily basis, based on the design capacity of the treatment plant. The treatment plant is designed to produce 5,000 cubic meters of water per hour, and then in total per day is about 120,000 cubic meters per day. Then you have two plants, phases 1 and phase 2, which comes to 240,000 cubic meters per day. So in essence, what we do basically here is to ensure that the quality and the quantity of water will get to the resident of the city of Abuja. The treatment plant has series of processes that it entails to produce this good drinking water. The raw water is from the dam, which comes through a pipe of about 1.5 meter diameter pipe to the aeration structure. That's the first process. The aeration process is to ensure that the water comes into close contact with the atmospheric air, thereby increasing the oxygen content of the water, remove obnoxious gases, and where oxygen takes place, oxidation also occurs. Iron and manganese salt present in the water are oxidized. The essence of this aeration process is to ensure that the raw water is given a quality before the preliminary treatment. From this stage, it goes to the preliminary treatment stage, where the injection of the water treatment chemicals are dosed into the two mixing and distribution chamber, like the aluminum sulfate, popularly known as alum. Then you have a calcium hydroxide, that is hydrated lime, and then a pre-chlorination. The functions of the aluminum sulfate, that is the alum, is a coagulant, is to help to destabilize the colloidal particles in the raw water, so that flux, we have formation of flux. Then also the from the second stage, which is this mixing injection of water treatment chemical, the water goes into the big tanks, which we call the Possetto clarifier tanks. This is where the reaction of this chemical takes place. That's the coagulation and flocculation. So whereby the cleared water is collected on the top of the channels. So having gotten your clarified water, there are channels this water passes through to the sand filter bed, which is the fourth stage of the treatment process. The filters are installed with sand, what we call the filter media. They are like sand, which aids filtration process. So each filter has a height of a thickness of 1.2 meter, and the volume of sand you have in each filter is about 100 cubic meter of sand grains we have. The essence of the sand filter is to help to collect good, pure water from the clarifier. After a clarification process. So the sand is thick at that height, so that it can help, because during the coagulation and flocculation process in the clarifier, so you find out that major particles that are destabilized settles, maybe about 90% of them. Then you have few ones that will still go with the clarified water to the filters. So the sand now is to help to trap all these particles. Sand allows the passage of only clear water, then it traps the particles, no matter how small it is. Then we'll have a collection chamber that's underneath the filter bed to collect this filtered water for drinking. So after this stage is the disinfection stage. So all the filtered water that is collected got to a point where disinfection takes place. That's by injecting chlorinated water, that's chlorine, to disinfect the water, so that particles, microorganisms and pathogens that are present in the water are completely destroyed. Because all these processes that we have passed through, they are exposed to the atmosphere. So you find that these microorganisms, they are minute organisms that they could find their way through this process. That's if they survive pre-chlorination at the pre-process, but the post-disinfection will finally take care of all these microorganisms that are present in the water before this water is finally sent to the city of Abuja for our consumer. Also, before it leaves the Usuma Dam water treatment plant, we also do what we call post-liming. The post-liming is done to ensure that we have an equilibrium pH, so that we will reduce the acidity. If the water if the pH is low, that is of acidic nature, the post-liming would balance this pH to be within the allowable by the WHO. So, and having done that, all this potable water that has been produced now leaves the Usuma Dam water treatment plant. We have that's our treated water tank to all the storage tanks we have in the city of Abuja. Like it goes to tank 3 in Mitama, tank 4 in Asokoro. You have the Kubwa Reservoir. You have the Abuja International Airport. You have the Gwagwalada Then you have the Asoko Road, that is the Tank 4. You have the Nyanyaka Road, then you have Buhari. So these are the areas where treated water produce goes to before it finally distributed to the various consumers we have in the city of Abuja. And more so, the good thing about the treatment plant here is that the engineers and the designers find it very, very important to site this project at the highest point of the city to save costs, because we are not pumping. So all we produce here from the dam to the treatment plant is by gravity. And then from the treatment plant, what we produce to all these tanks I have mentioned to you is by gravity. So it will also interest you that these reservoirs too are sited at a very, very good location. Like if you can see the city of Abuja, Abuja is surrounded by, if you look at the topography of Abuja, it's surrounded by the hills. So the periphery of these hills too are the site where these reservoirs are. Then from there it goes by gravity to our numerous consumers too. It's just very few places we have that are on the high altitude that will use booster pumps, like the Minister Hills, then part of Asokoro, and then Usetu. That is where we use the booster pumps, because they are on the, and also all the military barracks, they are also on booster pumps. So these are all we do on a daily basis to ensure that the city of Abuja gets good drinking water that is of standard as recommended by the WHO and the Nigerian standard. And along the line, all these process, I have also said that the process for producing this potable drinking water, along the line we will have a very suitable quality control department sited also at the plant to ensure that all these stages I've mentioned, they do every time analysis, both on-site, we have on-site instrument for measuring parameters and all what have you, like the physiochemical analysis and then the bacteriological analysis, to ensure that they guide in the production line that, okay, the quality of water is okay to meet with the standard of recommended standard by WHO and Nigerian standard. So in a line where there is things are not going the way it's supposed to be, they advise the production that, okay, look, you have to adjust this chemical, you have to adjust this and that. And then this is done up to the treated water tank, that is disinfection, to ensure that the chlorine that we use for disinfection has a reasonable residual level that is allowable by the WHO, which is within the range of 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per liter. We will also do a lot to ensure that we'll get a feedback from the city, that's the tanks, to also, complement that what we are giving, they are getting it, so that in the times where there is any problem, we will know where and where to take it off from. So I think we'll do a lot to ensure that we'll ensure the potable water to the city of Abuja with all the standard that has been laid by the WHO.
Welcome back and thanks for staying. Well, now you see the rigorous stages of treatment the FCT water is subjected to go through before it is sent to your homes. With all this treatment, do residents of Abuja who have access to the FCT water board trust this water to be good enough for drinking? Or how do they get their drinking water? Let's go find out.
Nothing precisely, but it's drinkable, but just that I have other means, like I drink dispenser water, I don't drink water, but that's not that there's no any contamination in the water. There's no issue about that, so that's it.
We do have. Nah, we don't. Because you can't actually, you can't tell about its decency. Might not be clean. At times you fetch, you discover some dirt inside. So we don't drink it. I prefer drinking bottled water, or rather seaware. That's what we drink.
Actually, me, My family, we don't do it. We don't drink it. You understand? But others, they do drink it, because houses that we've stayed in, when you drink water from the tap and all of that, it results into all this typhoid and all of that. So from spending money on sickness, so that is why we just we are no longer drinking any water from tap or that.
So which water do you drink?
Bottled water.
Yes, we do have water, but I don't drink because I think there's some treatments that most of the water body use, chemical use, and really it affects health. So I prefer to use other means of maybe water dispenser, and water dispenser mostly that's what I use. Personally, if I take anything like water, but personally affect me. Typhoid, I got typhoid. I use pure water. I use pure water. I use any other like the water board to affect me. Water board to affect me too. I always experience typhoid. So since that I have to stop. I feel using bottled water or water dispenser.
No, I don't drink it, but I use it to cook, because I am 100% sure that once I boiled it, at least is a little bit, it will be okay than taking it directly, because I don't have confidence on how the water came. I prefer drinking either seaway. In fact, much better, my pure water is okay.
Interesting. You're still watching the infrastructure. Well, you just saw for yourself that some residents of Abuja who have access to the FCT water board in their homes do not drink from it due to fear of it not being good enough. Let me ask you, do you have water board in your home, and do you drink from it? Earlier, you saw the rigorous processes that the FCT water board is subjected to go through to meet WHO and global standard. So the choice is now yours. Just remember that bottling companies do not produce water. Rather, they produce labels. Some of your favorite brands may even be getting their water from the FCT water board. So the brand you decide to drink may not be as clean and safe as the packaging. And we do hope that in no sooner time, more areas will have access to this water to reduce the plight of citizens in trying to get alternative water supply, which might not be safe or good enough for them. It is right here I will say bye on the program. Very many thanks for staying. Remember, you can follow us on all our social media handles now showing on your screen. For your contributions, observation, or partnership, you can write to us via this email address now showing on your screen. Remember too that you can draw our attention and that of the government by simply sending us pictures or videos of an infrastructure that needs attention in your area on this WhatsApp number. Until I come your way again, remember that staying safe now should be your topmost priority amid this COVID-19 pandemic. Follow all the healthcare guidelines, practice social distancing and regular hand washing with soap or use of hand sanitizer, and wear your nose mask. I am Tina OJIE. See you again.